I'm Heather Meyer, and I'm Mrs. Southwest Colorado 2013. And I'm here to talk to you guys about dating and domestic violence. As Mrs. Southwest Colorado, I have made my platform dating and domestic violence awareness. The reason I've done this is because I myself was a victim of domestic violence. And a little bit about me. I started dating a guy who was 5 years older than me when I was 19. I'm now 31. We had dated for about a year and a half or so. During that time, he had previously been married to his high school girlfriend for a short time, and they had a child together. And during the time that we were dating, she called me one day and she told me, you need to be careful in this relationship. And she told me about an instance where they were at a party and he got drunk and he shoved her to the ground. And for her, that was all it took. She wasn't going to be in an abusive relationship, and so she got a divorce. Well, me being the brilliant 19-year-old that I was, I thought she was just jealous and that she was upset because I was with him and she wasn't anymore. I didn't realize at the time that I was already being abused. Abuse is more than physical abuse. Abuse is mental, emotional, sexual. And so it took until 3 or 4 months after we were married before I realized that I was being abused. We had gone out one night and we're at a bowling alley with 2 girlfriends of ours and one of their husbands. And they were all old enough to drink. I wasn't, so they had all been drinking. I was the only one sober. And at the end of the night, there was a confrontation between my ex-husband and our friend and another guy that was at the bowling alley. And during that confrontation, I tried to break it up. I was trying to calm everything down, de-escalate the whole situation, and my ex-husband didn't like that very much. So I was standing between our friend and the guy that they were arguing with, and trying to get my friend to get in the car, and my ex-husband came over to me, shoved me to the ground, and told me he was going to file for divorce on Monday for me interfering. On the way home, I was in the backseat of my car with my 2 girlfriends crying and upset. And both of my girlfriends kept telling me, it's okay, it's all right. He'll apologize. He didn't mean it. They never mean it. It was at that moment that I realized that not only was I being abused, but both of my girlfriends were too. The abuse didn't stop there. The physical abuse stopped there. He never laid a hand on me again. But the verbal and emotional and mental abuse continued, especially when he was drinking. He would get drunk and we'd get into arguments about his drinking, and he would lie to me about where he'd been or what he was doing or who he was with. He would call me names. I've been called every name in the book at one point or another. He would say things like, you're worthless, no one else will ever want to be with you. I've had things thrown at me from hamburgers to laundry baskets full of clothes. And the final straw for me, after begging for us to go to counseling and other things, was when we got into an argument just about a month short of being married for 2 years. We got into an argument and I went in our room, closed the door, and laid down on our bed. Well, instead of coming in and opening the door to talk to me, he broke down the bedroom door and proceeded to throw it on top of me on the bed. So that was when I decided that I had to get out of the relationship and leave. And that was what I did. And luckily for me, I was able to get out fairly easily. I was able to leave our relationship without having to get the cops involved and a bunch of other being stalked and harassed, and it was, for me, very easy. Some people don't have a way out as easy as I had it. So that's what I'm here to talk to you guys about, so that you guys know what to look for now before you get married. What is dating violence? Dating violence is a pattern of abusive behaviors that's used to exert power and control over one's dating partner. A pattern of behavior includes the first instance of violence. That can be physical, verbal, emotional, sexual, and you kind of saw in the video how it progressed. And so that first act is that first instance starts that pattern of violence. Patterns of behavior simply involve a series of abusive behaviors over a period of time. The violence tends to escalate and becomes more and more dangerous for the victim. And you guys saw that in the video. It started out as just texting and calling all the time, then getting upset because she wasn't answering the phone, to at the end of the video, he hit her and then pushed her. The whole thing that dating violence and domestic violence is involved around is power and control. The abuser wants to gain power and control over the victim. Abusers use their words and actions as tools to gain and maintain that power and control. Abuse can be physical. Physical abuse is any intentional use of physical force with the intent to cause fear or injury in the victim. It can be hitting, shoving, biting, strangling, kicking, use of a weapon, any other physical force that you can think of. Abusers tend to minimize, deny, and blame. They'll make light of the abuse. They'll make it a joke. They don't take your concerns about the abuse or others' concerns about the abuse seriously. They'll claim that the abuse didn't happen. They'll shift responsibility for their behavior. They'll blame it on someone else or some other reason. They had a bad day. It was your fault. It was someone else's fault. They were mad at someone else. Someone else upset them. They'll say the victimized partner caused the abuse. They'll blame it on you. They'll make you want to take the blame for their actions. They'll use threats. Abusers will make and carry out threats to hurt themselves or others. They'll threaten to leave, commit suicide, report you to the police. They'll require or make the victimized partner drop charges if you do go to the police, oftentimes. And sometimes they'll even ask the victimized partner to do illegal things. They use sexual coercion. Sexual coercion is manipulating or making threats to get sex. If you have children, they'll threaten to take your children away. Getting someone drunk or drugging them to get sex. Rape and restricting access to birth control. That can be a guy not letting his girlfriend use any form of birth control, him not using a condom, girls or guys poking holes in condoms. Isolation and exclusion. Abusers will isolate the abused. They control what that person does, who he or she talks to, what he or she reads, where they go, what they're doing, who they're hanging out with. They limit their outside involvement. People who are usually very active, and when they get into an abusive situation, they start to become an introvert. They quit doing and participating in all the activities that they once participated in. The abuser will use jealousy to justify his actions. You saw that in the video. The boyfriend Alex got upset because Natalie was talking to her male friends. They use peer pressure. They'll threaten to expose your weakness or threaten to spread rumors or tell malicious lies about you to your peer group. They'll put the victim down. You saw that in the video, and I experienced that myself, being told you're worthless, no one else will ever want you. Make the victim feel bad about him or herself. Call you names. Make the victim think they're going crazy. They'll play mind games, humiliate you, and make you feel guilty. They'll often use their social status to help gain power and control in the relationship. They'll treat the victim like the servant. You do what I say, when I say you can do it. The abuser acts like the master of the castle and makes all the decisions in the relationship. They also often define men's and women's roles in the relationship. Growing up, you kind of all got an idea of what your role in a relationship is as a woman or as a man. Sometimes the abuser will try to change those roles. They use intimidation. They'll make the victim afraid by using looks, actions, or gestures, breaking things, damaging property, abusing pets, your pets, their pets, animals that they see on the street, display of weapons, And a weapon can be anything from a gun or a knife to something that they can throw at you or hit you with. Weapons are more than just the violent weapons that we would normally think of. With technology today, you also can experience digital abuse when in a dating or domestic relationship. Digital abuse is the use of technology and social media networking to intimidate, harass, or threaten a current or ex-dating partner. It can include them demanding your passwords, checking your cell phone, cyberbullying, sexting, excessive or threatening texts, or stalking on Facebook or other social media sites. You know, if you're posting things on Facebook and they're stalking you, wanting to know where you're at, why you were with somebody, who you were with, what you were doing. Getting your passwords and checking your emails, or checking your Facebook page. Dating and domestic violence can happen to anyone, male or female, any age. In fact, the majority of date rapes occur in those under the age of 18. All ethnicities, all religions, all education levels, and all income levels and careers. No one is exempt from dating or domestic violence.